Chapter 22. Do you even know what the truth is? Scene 1. The bright sun crept in, disturbing Ryan's sleep like an unwanted side chick texting early as hell. After hearing buzzing sounds, she reached for her phone on the nightstand, wincing at the brightness. A message from Luke popped up, alerting her that she and Sophie needed to be at headquarters by 11 a.m. to discuss the new lead and findings, the one Ryan was still in the dark about. Glancing at the clock that read 9 a.m., she knew her wife needed to wake up and get herself together, especially after the rough night she had. She turned over gently, shaking her shoulder. "Soph, it's time to wake up." Sophie wasn't feeling too hot. She groaned, burying her face in the pillow. Her head was throbbing and her whole body was aching. "Come on. Luke wants us at HQ in a couple of hours." Still no movement, just feet kicking out from under the covers. Ryan was on the verge of unleashing a string of expletives, her frustration simmering from Sophie's drunken antics upon stumbling home. But even Ryan lacked the willpower to broach that subject at the moment. "Fine, I'm gonna make you some coffee. You need to be fully awake by the time I get back, okay?" Sophie bobbed her head, which was still planted in the pillow. As soon as Ryan closed the door, Sophie was ready to catch some more Z's, and the urge to knock out for a few more minutes was almost too tempting to pass up. It lasted only 2 seconds before her eyes snapped open, the previous day's events crashing into her consciousness. The anger she'd felt towards Ryan, the shocking discovery of Jada Jet's identity, the bar fight that left her aching and bruised. It all came rushing back at once. But it was the recollection of her conversation with Luke that made her nauseous. She'd inquired about getting a new partner when insecurities and fear got the best of her. Sophie darted upright, ignoring the throbbing in her head and the objection of her muscles. She had to get to Luke and explain herself before Ryan found out. She could only imagine her wife's heartbroken face if she ever discovered this. That devastated look would be too much. She jumped out of bed and frantically searched their closet for something to wear, tossing aside clothes in her hurry. "Fuck, where is it?" She ransacked through a drawer. The sound of Ryan's footsteps on the stairs made her pause. She couldn't let her wife see her like this, disheveled and desperate. She grabbed the first pair of jeans and a t-shirt she could find and quickly changed into them. She went back to the bed, eyed the nightstand where her wallet was, and shoved the square, thick leather inside of her sock. Ryan stepped into the room, a steaming mug of coffee in hand. Surprised to find Sophie already dressed and snapping her watch on, she had assumed she would have to literally drag her out of bed. "Here, drink this," she said, handing the mug over. "It'll help with the hangover." Sophie took it from Ryan's hand, grateful for the caffeine fix. The liquid burned her taste buds, but she needed that kick. Keeping her eyes lowered, she knew her wife could see right through her front. "Thanks," she whispered, setting the mug down on the dresser. Ryan watched her rush around like a chicken with its head cut off. "Soph, about last night?" "Not now, Ryan," Sophie snapped, instantly regretting her tone. "I'm sorry, I need to get ready to leave. We can talk later." "Where are you headed in such a rush? We don't have to be at HQ until 2 hours from now. And plus, you should probably shower first. You still smell like beer." Sophie paused, her back to Ryan as she tugged on her boots. "I left my wallet with Ocean last night. Gotta swing by and grab it before we head in. I'll just grab a shower at work." Lying felt horrible. She kept her eyes glued to the laces, too shook to risk meeting Ryan's stare. Ryan, for her part, remained silent as she watched her wife fumble with her boots. The scene from last night replayed in her head. Sophie stumbling through the door, slurring her words, falling asleep on the toilet, and eventually passing out on the bed, while Ryan undressed her and set her stuff down on the nightstand, including her wallet that suspiciously wasn't there anymore. She felt completely played as she watched Sophie head into their closet. Doubt and suspicion were doing a number on her, leaving her feeling twisted up and uneasy. Ryan's tried to make sense of the behavior that troubled her. The secrecy, the lies, the distance. It all pointed to something deeper, something Sophie was despairingly trying to hide. Sophie turned around after adjusting her belt and paused when she found Ryan standing in the entryway of the walk-in closet with an unreadable expression. Her hand was extended, Sophie's QEC resting in her palm. "Don't forget this." She reached for the device. "Thanks," she murmured, and slipped the QEC into her ear. She felt Ryan's stare piercing through her, like she was trying to decode her soul. "So that you gonna be back in time for us to head to Black Bat together?" "I'll meet you there," Sophie said, leaning in and pressing a quick kiss to Ryan's forehead. Watching Sophie leave, Ryan got this confirmed feeling that the person she loved more than anything, the one she'd take a bullet for without hesitation, was becoming someone she didn't recognize. A liar. Scene 2. The hallways of Black Bat headquarters were eerily quiet as Sophie approached Luke's office, her footsteps echoing off the polished floors. She glanced at her watch. 10:15 a.m., 45 minutes before their scheduled meeting. She had taken advantage of the additional time, grabbing a quick shower in the agency's high-tech locker room. The warm water did little to help her clear her mind. Afterward, she slipped into one of the many outfits she kept at Black Bat over the years, feeling cleaner physically, but the mental filth of her thoughts remained, harder to wash away. Finally, at the door, Sophie knocked a few times before Luke answered. "Agent, you're early. Where's your wife?" She's on her way, seriously this time. But sir, I was hoping we could discuss something before she arrived." Luke interrupted, raising a hand in a stopping motion. "Should this concern your query from yesterday, I bear an update." He moved aside, signaling her to come in. "Regarding the dissolution of your arranged marriage with Agent Wilder, if you choose to proceed with this course of action, due to your belief that she has been a detriment to the agency, it will trigger an immediate internal investigation into your claim. During the investigation, she will be remanded to prison until we can determine whether malpractice or misconduct occurred. Should our investigation conclude that she has indeed engaged in activities detrimental to the agency, Ryan will remain imprisoned indefinitely. I trust you understand the gravity of this situation and the potential consequences for both you and your partner." Sophie felt something hit her chest and stole her breath. She adamantly denied with a head shake. "No, sir, that's not what I want. I don't want that at all. I wasn't thinking clearly yesterday." "Are you certain?" Luke's eyes narrowed. "Because yesterday, you seemed quite convinced that Agent Wilder was a problem." "I'm sure. We'll figure it out, sir. I'm sure of it. And let's forget that I even asked. Ryan is the perfect partner." "Agent, I'm perplexed. Yesterday you were so—" "Sir, with all due respect, the stress of yesterday clouded my judgment, but I am certain that Ryan and I can maintain our current course." "Sophie, listen. I have faith in you and Ryan. I believe you two have the potential to be great. However, lately, you both have been forcing my hand with your behavior and shenanigans. I need you to understand that you can't come to me with such serious requests without merit, regardless of whether you're in your head or not. Your actions have consequences, not just for yourself, but for your partner as well. Don't come to me with this type of request again unless you absolutely mean it. I won't tolerate any more of this back and forth. Am I clear?" "Inquiry, sir," Sophie corrected. "It was merely an inquiry." "Agent, sorry, sir." "Whatever you want to call it." Luke waved a hand. "Now, if you don't mind, I have some work to attend to before our meeting with your wife." "Of course, sir. I'll wait for her arrival." She turned to leave, her hand on the doorknob when Luke's voice stopped her. "Agent, one more thing. Have you informed Ryan about the details of the case yet?" "No, I have not." Luke's eyes flicked to his watch. "Well, you need to figure it out soon. Meaning today." "Yes, sir. I understand." Time crawled at a snail's pace. every minute dragging on as Sophie braced herself to reveal the game-changing secrets that could potentially uproot everything. Scene 3. The Black Bat parking lot was packed when Ryan pulled in looking for a spot to park. She finally found one about 200 feet away from the entrance. She stepped out of the car, slamming the door with more force than necessary, pissed at how her morning was going. She marched through the hallways, face tight and eyes locked forward. Co-workers threw hellos her way, but their voices faded into white noise as her mind was focused on Sophie. Lost in her own thoughts, she nearly collided with Ocean as she rounded a corner. He stumbled back and took a look at her no-nonsense expression. "Wilder, hey, look, I'm so sorry about last night." Ryan frowned. "Why are you sorry? You didn't come home drunk out of your mind, being an asshole to your wife, did you?" Ocean shook his head. "No, but I think something's going on with Sophie. She's not normally like that. I mean, hell, you know better than anyone." Ryan deflated her energy with this situation getting the best of her. "Yeah, I know." Then a thought struck her, and she looked up, searching his face. "Hey, did you hear from her this morning, by the way?" "No." Ocean raised an eyebrow. "Why, what's going on?" Ryan played it cool, letting out a low, as she gave a slight shake of her head. "No biggie." She made to move past him, but paused. "I'll make sure she calls you and apologizes. You shouldn't have to babysit a grown-ass woman." "It's okay, as long as she is safe." Ryan patted his arm. "You're a good man, Ocean." She then continued on, eyes fixed on the bathroom door at the end of the hall, hoping to sneak in and freshen up before the meeting. Her hand hovered over the bathroom door when a well-known face figure caught her eye. Sophie stepped out the bathroom, gripping a folder tight, sporting a look that was equal parts surprised and some other vibe Ryan couldn't quite clock. "Babe, you made it." "Well, yeah, though you just left me high and dry at home." "I told you I had to." "Come find Ocean, I remember." Ryan cut her off and tilted her head to the side. "So, did you get it?" "Get what?" "Your wallet from him." "Oh." Sophie chuckled nervously, her hand dipping into her back pocket. Her hand emerged from her back pocket, clutching the wallet that had accompanied her ever since she departed from their house. Ryan fixed Sophie with an intense look, searching for answers. But her wife's face was closed off. Sophie shifted uncomfortably under the vehemence of Ryan's eyes, her fingers tightening around the folder in her hand. "Shall we head to Luke's office? The meeting starts in 5 minutes. "I still have to use the bathroom." "Oh, yeah." Sophie stepped aside awkwardly. "I'll wait for you out here." Ryan nodded as she pushed open the door. With a few seconds to spare, they entered the office quietly. Ryan cleared her throat, feeling the need to state her case. "Sir, I want to apologize for missing yesterday's meeting. It's not like me, and I feel terrible about it. If there's anything I need to do, or even consequences due to my absence, I will understand and be aligned with it." Luke looked at Sophie, then went back to Ryan. "Thank you for that, Agent. Let's just make sure it doesn't happen again." "Of course, sir." "So, are you caught up with Sophie's findings from yesterday?" No, sir. I'm not caught up yet," Ryan replied, her expression questioning as she looked at her wife. Shaking his head, Luke released an exhale, then pinned Sophie with a look that made it clear he was not pleased. "Sophie, can you share with us what you discovered yesterday?" Sophie took a deep breath and tried to steady her shaky hands as she pulled up the file. Yes, sure. We have here Jada Jet. Jet was a skilled and esteemed agent within the covert entity known as False Face. She had accomplished a multitude of successful missions, garnering her renown as one of their most invaluable resources. "What kind of organization is False Face?" Sophie glanced up, her eyes meeting Ryan's. False Face started as an honorable espionage organization concentrating on global matters. However, their trajectory underwent a transformation after being acquired by a multi-billionaire named Roman Sionis. Consequently, they embraced a more wicked methodology in executing their undertakings. Ryan nodded, prompting Sophie to continue. Jet grew increasingly wary of the operations unfolding within False Face upon her return from maternity leave after welcoming a newborn. Though she discreetly probed these suspicious ventures, her inquiries yielded no tangible proof. There was this big mission in El Salvador, though. Things went south in a big way. After that, she just disappeared into thin air. Then... Wait, slow down, Soph. What happened in El Salvador? The details are unclear, but after disappearing, False Face launched a manhunt to track Jada down. Luke leaned in, planting his elbows, ready to join in the conversation. The rumor mill was full of whispers that Jada had engaged in an illicit affair with a colleague at False Face, despite being a married woman. Her medical records revealed a positive pregnancy test from that period when she had disappeared. With a skeptical expression, Ryan darted her eyes from Sophie to Luke and back again. Their story seemed incomplete, as if they were intentionally leaving something out. We've become attentive in finding Jada after intercepting an encrypted message believed to be from her. So, agents, this assignment is priority number 1. This is your only focus until Jet is found. I want you to search everywhere, spare no resources. Most importantly, I need her to come back alive and in well enough shape to talk. So I need you to not screw this up. Yes, sir. Dropping the ball meant game over, and they weren't about to let that happen on their watch. Good. Let's start first thing tomorrow, but before you go, there are a few other matters to attend to, Luke said, shuffling some papers on his desk. Sophie, I need you to head down to the Tactical Response Unit. They've been working on some new gear that could come in handy. They'll brief you on the specs. Sophie nodded, her curiosity heightened by the prospect of new equipment. Luke then turned to Ryan. And Ryan, the Cyber Intelligence Division has been analyzing some encrypted data. They could use your expertise to help crack the code. Head over there and see what you can uncover. Then after that, I'll let you two take the rest of the day because your partner has a bit more details to fill you in on about this Jet mission. He turned to Sophie. Isn't that right? Ryan's eyes lit up at the mention of a technological challenge, but a flicker of unease crossed her face as she glanced at Sophie. Sophie averted her gaze, a slight headshake giving Ryan pause. A sinking feeling clutched Ryan's insides. Should I be worried? She probed with a nervous laugh. I'll let you two talk about it. The moment they stepped out of Luke's office, Ryan was on Sophie's heels. She reached out and grabbed her wife's arm, spinning her around to face her. What do you need to tell me? Sophie glanced at her but spun back around to continue walking towards the elevator. Let's talk about it when we get home, not here. Ryan couldn't hold back a cynical laugh. So I'm supposed to just focus on cracking some codes, all while worried about whatever it is you have to share? Ryan, it's not like that. I just think it's better if we discuss this in private, at home. Fine, I'll go do my thing. You go play with your new toys at the Tactical Response Unit. Sophie sighed, reaching out to touch Ryan's arm. Hey, I know this isn't ideal, but we both have jobs to do. Let's just get through our assignments and then we can talk, okay? Ryan pulled away. Yeah, sure, whatever. As Ryan turned to walk away, Sophie called out, I'll text you when I'm done. Since we drove separately, we can meet up at home and talk then. Without looking back, Ryan waved a hand dismissively. Don't wait up. Scene 4. Sophie had finished her briefing with the Tactical Response Unit earlier than expected. She sent a quick text to Ryan, letting her know she was done and ready to head home whenever she was. However, after waiting for a response that never came, Sophie decided to take a chance and head up to the Cyber Intelligence Division. She found a nearby waiting area and settled in. Jada Jet's case kept replaying in her mind as she considered how to break it down for Ryan. She knew there was no easy way to deliver such a bombshell, but she hoped that by waiting for Ryan and showing her support, it might soften the blow. An hour passed, and Sophie was lost in thought when she heard footsteps approaching. She looked up to see Ryan, who seemed surprised to find her there. Ryan's face showed confusion, frustration, and perhaps a hint of relief, but she remained silent. Sophie gathered her things, and without a word, they walked side by side back to the parking lot. As they reached their respective cars, Sophie paused, wanting to say something, anything, to break the silence. But the words wouldn't come. Instead, she climbed into her car. They pulled out of the lot, the short drive to their townhouse feeling like an eternity. Sophie's mind was on overdrive, trying to find the right words, the right way to tell Ryan the truth about her mother. 2 car engines were heard in the garage as Ryan and Sophie pulled in simultaneously. The space was too narrow for both of them to exit their vehicles at the same time, so Sophie waited and watched Ryan climb out of her Jeep and head inside. She eventually followed and found Ryan in the entryway, about to kick off her shoes, but something made her stop. "Hey, let's take a walk," Sophie suggested softly, tightening her messenger bag that was across her shoulder. Ryan looked up surprised, but she nodded, sliding her shoes back on and following Sophie out the door. The streets at this time of day were quiet in their neighborhood as they walked side by side. Ryan had a hunch about Sophie's impending words and was quietly relieved that her wife might broach the subject first, sparing her the need for confrontation. "Rye, there's something I need to tell you about Jada Jet." Okay. This wasn't what Ryan thought they would talk about, but she was intrigued. "What about her?" Sucking in a breath, Sophie steadied her jitters before letting the cat out of the bag. "She's your birth mother!" An incredulous, disbelieving snort of laughter came from Ryan. "Stop playing, Sophie. That's not even funny. What do you really have to tell me?" "I'm not joking, Ryan. It's the truth." "What's the truth?" "That Jada Jet is your mother." "What? How do you know?" "I put the pieces together yesterday when I was going through the case files. The timeline, the details. It all fits." She took a glance up at Ryan. Jada was rumored to have been having an affair outside of her marriage. "I know that. You mentioned it earlier with Luke, but what does that have to do with me?" Sophie reached into her bag, pulling out a stack of papers. "I found hospital records. They show that a baby girl was born on May 30th, 1992. She paused, letting that resonate. "That's your birthday, Ryan. And the hospital where the baby was abandoned, St. Jude's Hospital. It's the same one where you were born." "No, that's not..." Ryan shook her head. "It can't be. It's just a coincidence." But Sophie was already flipping through the papers, her finger landing on a specific line. "There's more, Ryan. The files mention a distinct birthmark on the baby's right toe. The same birthmark you have." Ryan's toe unconsciously wiggled in her show. "How did you..." "Baby, I know your body like the back of my hand." Sophie laid the papers out on the nearby bench, the evidence staring them both in the face. "It's not a coincidence, Ryan. You're Jada Jet's daughter. The child she abandoned when she fled false face. That's you." Ryan felt like the wind got knocked out of her. She plopped down on the bench, burying her face in her palms. "No, this can't be happening. My mother, she was a junkie. She didn't want me. She's not some damn spy." "I know it's hard to believe, Ryan, but Black Bat's intelligence team managed to uncover the truth. They got a sample of her DNA from damaged records and matched it to yours on file from when you joined the agency." "Black Bat knew?" "They knew, and Luke didn't tell me?" "They were trying to find the right way, Ryan. They didn't want to hurt you." "Hurt me? Finding out that my entire life has been a lie? That the mother I thought was dead is actually some kind of super spy? How could that not hurt me?" "I'm so sorry, baby. I can't imagine how you must be feeling." "I can't believe this," Ryan whispered. "All this time I thought she was dead. I thought she didn't want me." Sophie attempted to wrap her arms around her, but Ryan flinched away. "You knew? You fucking knew too, and you didn't tell me?" "I was trying to find the right way, the right time. Plus, I just found out yesterday myself." "Fuck that. You lied to me, Sophie. You kept this from me going on 36 hours now on purpose. You didn't bring your ass home last night on purpose." "Ryan, please, I was just trying to protect you." "Protect me? From what? From the truth?" She shook her head, laughing bitingly. "You know, I'm starting to think you don't even know what that word means." "Right." "Why did you lie to me this morning, Sophie, about having to leave early for your wallet?" Huh? You heard me. Your wallet wasn't with Ocean this morning. I took it out of your pants pocket last night when your drunk ass came home." Sophie wanted to say something, anything, but her tongue was stuck and not a single word was escaping. She can only swallow her spit. "Don't say anything because your ass is about to lie again." Under Ryan's scrutinizing eyes, Sophie felt like an open book, like all her secrets were laid bare before her wife. She knew there was nothing she could say. It was quiet and awkward as they walked, neither saying a word. Time passed by, and before they knew it, their wandering feet had traced a few circles around the neighborhood, finally leading them at the front steps of their brownstone. When they approached their front door, they noticed Alice, their neighbor, was waiting on their steps, her hand poised to ring the doorbell. "What do you want, Alice?" Sophie wasn't in the mood for any guest right about now. Catching sight of Ryan, Alice was beaming ear to ear, flashing her a huge smile like she'd been waiting all day to see her. "I was looking for Ryan. I wanted to see if she wanted to try out the new ice cream shop down the street." Sophie's flicked her eyes to Ryan, anticipating her response. After everything that had happened, the news about her birth mother, she was certain she would decline. Surely she would want to stay home to talk things through. But to her shock, Ryan shrugged and gave Alice a grin. "Yeah, I could use the distraction." Without a backward glance, she turned and fell into step with Alice as they walked down the street. Standing there stunned, Sophie watched her wife walk away, giggling with their neighbor. She saw how up close Alice was getting, her hand casually touching Ryan's arm. Jealousy rose in her chest, threatening to consume her. She couldn't believe Ryan would just bail without saying anything, not caring how she might take it. Then again, she thought bitterly, maybe she deserved to watch her wife leave with someone else after the lies and the betrayal. Nah, fuck that. Scene 5. Later that night, Sophie hunched over the desk in their command center in the basement. She didn't look up from the maps and files strewn across the table. Thoughts were spinning through her head like a Category 5 hurricane, each one more messed up than the one before. She couldn't erase the image of Ryan walking away with Alice. Her fingers gripped around the pen in her hand, the plastic breaking under her force. She tried to focus on the task at hand, on finding Jada and unraveling the mystery of her disappearance. But her thoughts kept drifting back to her wife. Why had she chosen that moment, of all moments, to seek comfort in the arms of another woman? She pushed away from the table and paced the length of the room, trying to make sense of everything. She had clocked Alice's thirsty looks towards Ryan since they first moved in, how she'd eye her wife like some kind of trophy. But she had never thought much of it, had chalked it up to harmless infatuation. After all, Ryan was gorgeous, and it wasn't uncommon for people to be drawn to her personality and charm. Now, though, Sophie felt that there was something more to Alice's behavior. The way she always seemed to be around. The way she found excuses to drop by their house or linger in their backyard when Ryan was out there. It was almost as if she was watching them, studying their every move. Could it be possible that Alice was more than just a nosy neighbor? Could she be a plant sent by enemies or opposing figures to keep tabs on them? The idea seemed far-fetched, like something out of a bad spy book. But Sophie knew better than to underestimate the lengths their foes would go to. She had seen firsthand the kind of twisted games they played, the way they used people's weaknesses against them. Hell, this case with Jada Jet was proof. And what better weakness to manipulate than the issues in a marriage? She couldn't let this happen. She couldn't let their enemies win. It was time to end this, once and for all. Shit! Sophie hissed as her boot caught on the fence. She tumbled into Alice's yard with all the grace of a drunk cow. Brushing off dirt, she glared at the back door. Child's play, huh? She fiddled with the lock. Click. Mama's still got it. Glock loaded and ready on her side. She slunk inside, clearing rooms left and right like the trained boss she was. 1 step, 2, 3. A noise from the hall made her freeze. Gun up, she crept closer, ready to go in on any hidden threats. But when she reached the living room, her jaw hit the floor. What the actual... Alice stood there in nothing but a silk robe and fuzzy slippers and a smile across her face. Well, you're right on time. I was starting to think you'd stood me up. Stood you up? What the hell are you talking about? With a smirk, Alice let her robe fall open, revealing far more than Sophie ever wanted to see. Why, our hot date, of course. I've been waiting for you to make a move, you little minx. But then Alice paused. Where's Ryan? She frowned. I thought for sure it would be a threesome. Whoa, time the fuck out. 3 of us? Yes, a threesome. Ménage à trois. You take the front, I take the back, or however you like. I don't mind being the filling in that sandwich, Alice said with a sleazy grin that made Sophie's stomach shake. Or maybe you'd prefer the other way around. Alice winked, stepping closer to Sophie. You think I came over for that? Isn't it obvious? I want you. I want Ryan. I want us to be one big, happy, sexually satisfied family. The only thing that's obvious is your complete lack of boundaries. I'm not here to play house with you. No? Then what brings you to my humble abode, gun in hand? Surely not just a friendly neighborhood watch visit. Don't play dumb with me, Sophie scoffed. The way you've been all over Ryan, always finding excuses to drop by, it's textbook sneaky shit. Oh, Soph, the only thing I've been trying to uncover is what's under those tight jeans of yours, and maybe get a peek at Ryan's abs while I'm at it. She came closer, seemingly unfazed by the gun Sophie was pointing at her. I mean, really, if I were a spy, don't you think I'd have a better cover than horny neighbor? Give me some credit. Alice's eyes drifted to the gun, though I have to say, the whole armed and dangerous thing is a new twist. Didn't know butchers needed such persuasive tools. Guess you really know how to handle your equipment, huh? Sophie's eyes widened as the pieces clicked together. Alice had taken her cool, no-nonsense vibe as flirting, and now she was standing there half naked, thinking this was a booty call, and supposedly including her wife. Alice stepped closer when Sophie didn't say anything. I mean, all the looks, the heated tension between all of us. It was only a matter of time before you gave in to our chemistry. Though I have to admit, I'm a little surprised you'd be so bold as to break into my place like this. But I can't say I'm disappointed. A woman who takes what she wants is incredibly sexy. Sophie stood there with her mouth open, utterly at a loss for words. Part of her wanted to laugh at the situation's absurdity, but another part felt deeply uncomfortable, even violated by Alice's presumptuous behavior. She eventually lowered her gun and put it away. Listen to me very carefully. There is no delicious affair. There is no ménage à trois. There will never be anything between us beyond you being the creepy-ass neighbor who can't take a hint. The playful smirk on Alice's face faded, her swagger deflating when Sophie made it crystal clear she wasn't interested. But I thought... You thought wrong. I'm a happily married woman, Alice. Whatever delusional fantasy you've been nurturing, it's time to let it go. This? She gestured between them. It's never going to happen, and it's never going to happen with Ryan either. Alice cocked her head, a puzzled expression on her face. Then why did you come over here? Because I thought. But she quickly caught herself. Revealing her suspicions about Alice being a spy could blow her cover. She needed a different approach. I came over here to tell you to back the fuck off my wife. Stop hitting on her, stop asking her to get ice cream with you, stop inviting her to do yoga and whatever other shit you think is gonna work to get in her pants. It's never gonna happen, and it's damn sure not gonna happen with me. But Ryan is such an awesome friend. We have so much fun together. I know, Sophie said, her tone softening slightly. And that's all you can be. Friends, nothing more. If you can't respect that, then you can't be in our lives at all. Alice shrank back, clutching her robe tightly as her cheeks turned red. Right, of course. I'm so sorry. I misread the situation completely. Sophie still couldn't believe her eyes of Alice standing there barely covered up. You know what? Just put some damn clothes on, will you? What, this old thing? She gestured vaguely at the silk robe. Honey, in this household, we call this evening wear. Despite herself, Sophie snorted at her neighbor's audacity. Even when caught in a full-blown delusion, Alice still found a way to be utterly shameless. So, can I trust you to back off and respect our marriage? Alice nodded vigorously. Yes, of course. I never meant to cause any trouble. I got carried away. It won't happen again, I swear. Good, Sophie said, turning to leave. Because if it does, we're going to have a much less friendly conversation. But I just have to say, if you and Ryan ever want to explore new horizons, get creative with some new positions, or even need someone to hold the camera while you two do your thing, I am more than willing to lend a hand. The audacity of the statement made Sophie see red. She spun on her heel, ready to let a bullet loose, but the blonde was already backpedaling. Joke! That was a joke! A really bad, inappropriate joke. I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me. It's like my mouth has a mind of its own. A really dirty, stupid mind. I'm going to shut up now before you actually shoot me. The pure terror on Alice's face was almost funny. Sophie had to hold back a chuckle, even as she felt herself getting heated. Her neighbor's mouth really did have a mind of its own. Sophie turned to leave again, but a weird door caught her eye, slightly open and revealing a room filled with mirrors and abstract art. Curiosity got the better of her. Dare I ask what's behind door number 1? Oh, that? That's my super secret, ultra exclusive panic room / art installation. It's where I go when I need to. Reflect on life's deepest mysteries, if you catch my drift. Sophie was dumbfounded. You have a panic room for existential crises? In your kitchen? And art. It's a multi-purpose space. Perfect for riding out the apocalypse or just, getting in touch with your inner muse. Right, Sophie shook her head. Because nothing screams artistic inspiration like a room full of mirrors and... Is that a disco ball? It adds ambiance. And really, what's the point of having a panic room if you can't panic in style? You know what? Sophie pinched the bridge of her nose, feeling a headache coming on. I don't even want to know. Just keep your multi-purpose space and evening wear to yourself, okay? And please, for the love of God, put on some pants. No promises, Alice sang, as out as Sophie left the same way she came in. She slipped through her back door with a bemused chuckle and stepped into the dark kitchen. The silliness of her encounter with Alice was still fresh in her mind, so she didn't notice Ryan standing by the fridge with a bottle of water in hand. The hell so funny at this hour? Ryan asked, her words slurring from being half asleep. Sophie was startled, her hand flying to her chest as she spun around to face her. "Ryan, I didn't see you there." "Clearly. So you gonna tell me what's got you laughing like a loon in the middle of the night?" Sophie bit her lip, trying to decide how much to spill. The image of Alice's outrageous getup replayed in her mind, and she couldn't hold back a snicker. But she knew bringing it up would open a whole can of worms. And with the awkwardness still hanging after their earlier argument, she'd rather not go there. "You wouldn't believe the crazy stuff Alice was up to." Ryan's features twisted in doubt. "Do I even want to know?" "Trust me, it's better if you don't." Ryan hummed and stared at Sophie for a moment longer. "That sounds on brand for you. There's a lot of stuff you don't want me to know. Isn't that right?" "Wife," Ryan said snarkily before she turned and headed for the stairs. Sophie watched her go, the smile fading from her face. There was still so much left unsaid between them, and she knew she was on the shit list. Probably indefinitely. She eventually headed upstairs to their guest bedroom, not even wanting to test the waters of sharing the bed with her wife. Scene 6. The Black Bat rooftop was a madhouse as Ryan and Sophie prepped for their recon flight. The helicopter was idling on the pad, blades ready to chop through the sky any second. A visceral reminder that they were diving into some seriously high-stakes territory. Sophie stepped forward, her hand reaching for the pilot's door, but Ryan beat her to it, sliding into the seat instead. Sophie paused, but she bit back any protest she had even thought of having. She climbed into the cramped passenger seat and put the headphones over her ears. She took a glance over at her wife and thought how sexy she looked right now with her new prescription glasses on, taking control as a lead pilot. But she could bet her ass Ryan probably wouldn't be interested in any compliments right now. Ryan's fingers flew over the controls, looking out onto the horizon as she ascended the helicopter. It had been about a year since they leveled up their pilot game. Ryan started as a total amateur, struggling with the basics. But she put in the work, got extra coaching, and passed with flying colors by the end. She was a natural in the skies. They were in the air searching for Jada Jet, the mother she had never known, the spy who had abandoned her all those years ago. The night before, she had spent hours in her bedroom poring over Jada's file, studying every detail of the woman's life. The similarities between them were uncanny. They had the same dark hair and the same eyes. But for all their physical resemblance, Jada was still a stranger to her. What would she say to her if they found her? "Head north," Sophie said, breaking her out of her thoughts. "We should start with the industrial district." Ryan nodded as she guided the helicopter toward the designated area. Sophie continued to give directions, which were some of the only words they'd said to each other. "Bank left. I want to take a closer look at that warehouse." Sophie leaned forward, studying the layout of the area. "There," she said, pointing to a cluster of abandoned buildings. "That's where I'd hide if I were Jada." Ryan zeroed in on the area, guiding the helicopter lower. The location made sense. Cut off from the world, with all kinds of hideouts and escape routes if the situation got sticky. But as they circled the area, their search proved useless. There was no sign of Jada, no indication that anyone had been there in years. They spent hours scouring the city for Jada Jet. It was like the elephant in this helicopter was getting bigger and bigger, and neither of them wanted to address what happened yesterday. By the time the sky started turning that beautiful shade of orange, Sophie had had enough. She extended her hand, letting it linger in the space between them, an olive branch offering to clear the air and get them back on the same page. "Ryan, I know you're upset with me, and I understand why, but please, can we just talk about this? I'm sorry for not telling you about Jada sooner. I thought I was doing the right thing, trying to protect you, but I realize now that I was wrong." For a long moment, Ryan didn't respond. Then, with a non-committal grunt, she shrugged off Sophie's hand and turned her attention back to the controls. "Damn right you were wrong." But it's not just about Jada, Sophie. It's about everything. The way you've been treating me, the secrets, the lies. Ryan, I never meant to... To what? To make me feel like I'm not good enough? Like I'm just some project for you to fix? Well, congratulations, Sophie. You've succeeded in making me feel like the biggest piece of shit on the planet. Sophie could feel the hurt in Ryan's voice. Ryan, no, that's not what I... But she was just getting started, the dam finally breaking as weeks of pent-up hurt and anger poured out. You want to talk, Sophie? Fine. Let's fucking talk. Finally, Ryan couldn't take it anymore. She switched off her mic so Black Bat couldn't hear the conversation. I'm so fucking sick of your self-righteous bullshit. Sophie's head snapped towards her. Excuse me? You heard me. You've been on my ass since day one, trying to mold me into your perfect little soldier. Well, guess what? I'm not fucking perfect. Or a soldier. That's not what I'm doing. Really? Could have fooled me. Every damn day it's the same old shit. Ryan, you're too impulsive. Ryan, you need to follow protocol. Ryan, why can't you do things like I do it? Well, newsflash, I'm not you, and I'll never fucking will be. Sophie tried to get a word in, but Ryan wasn't having any of that. And don't even get me started on the lying, keeping secrets about my own mother like you have any right to decide what I can and can't handle. What, did you think I was too unstable to deal with the truth? Were you going to eventually tell me if Luke didn't force you? I was, Sophie said vehemently. I swear I was. You just didn't give me enough time to... Bullshit. I think I get it, though. She really fucked you up, didn't she? And now, you're putting that same shit on me. What are you talking about? I'm talking about Diane. Are you fucking serious right now? You think I lied to you out of, what, spite? My mother. Why not? Your mom's been shitting on you for years, making you feel worthless. Maybe you wanted me to feel that too. Make sure I was as fucked up as you because misery loves company, right? The words were cruel, designed to cut deep, and from the look on Sophie's face, they'd hit their mark. Ryan, that's truly messed up for you to say. I was only just trying to protect you. Because I love you. Love, I trusted you, Sophie. I gave you everything I had. Every fucked up, broken piece of me. And what did you do? Lie to me about a stupid wallet of all things. You threw it back in my face. She was struggling to keep it together through her tears. I gave you so much damn love, and I always thought you had my back. But I guess I was wrong. I don't even know who you are anymore. Sophie couldn't stop the silent tears from rolling down her cheeks, so she stayed quiet. How could she even try to justify herself? Oh, and I know about your little chat with Luke, about how you asked for a new partner. I hacked into your QEC yesterday when you went off in a rush to find Ocean, which was another lie. I heard the conversation. You didn't even have the guts to tell me to my damn face. That's some coward-ass shit. The morning after her hangover, when Sophie was scrambling to get her shit together, Ryan knew just didn't feel right. So she took a chance and hacked into Sophie's QEC before her wife left. Shit, Ryan. I know how it looks, but there's more to the story. I can explain. Explain what? How you went behind my back? How you're so thirsty to get rid of me at the first sign of trouble? You must really don't give a shit about me. That's not fair. I was upset and confused. It was a fleeting thought. Nothing more. From where I'm sitting, it looks like you're ready to jump ship the moment things get tough and send my ass back to prison. How about believing in me? Supporting me? Not running to Luke the second we hit a bump in the road? Do you know how horrible being locked away was for me, and you were willing to send me back? Hell, to somewhere far worse probably. I'm sorry, I didn't want that, and I told Luke no, never mind, and I made a mistake. I never meant to hurt you. I don't know if I can trust you anymore, Sophie. I don't know if I can trust anyone. Abrupt instructions from the dispatcher broke the tense conversation. "Agents, we're wrapping up for the night. Please return to HQ." Ryan acknowledged the order with a short, "Copy that," before turning the helicopter back towards Black Bat. The rest of the flight passed in suffocating silence. As they touched down on the helipad, Ryan couldn't bring herself to look at Sophie. Exiting, Ryan's movements were mechanical-like. Sophie followed suit, but her steps felt heavy, loaded with uncertainty and remorse. They headed for the elevator, but it was like this massive gap separating us couldn't be crossed. The door slid shut, and Ryan finally spoke. "I need some time, Sophie. I need to figure out if I can move past this. And right now, I don't know how I could." Sophie watched, her heart sinking, as Ryan walked out of Black Bat headquarters. Instead of heading to their shared car, Ryan zipped her leather jacket up to her neck and continued walking into the night. Panic caught Sophie's chest, constricting her lungs. She gasped for air, the realization hitting her. She had fucked up. Severely. She clutched at her chest, her heart pounding so loudly it drowned out the sounds of the city around her. Ryan's figure grew smaller and smaller until she disappeared around a corner, swallowed up by the darkness. Sophie's vision blurred, hot tears stinging her eyes. She was on the verge of losing her wife, her partner, her everything. The realization that she had driven away the most important person in her life. Her partner, her confidant, the one who had loved her despite her flaws, was possibly gone, and the void left behind felt insurmountable. Sophie's knees buckled, and she collapsed onto one of the outside ledges, her body shaking with sobs. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The world spun around her, and she felt like she was drowning, suffocating. She sat there trying to catch her breath, her chest heaving with the effort. Tears streamed down her face, blurring her vision. She didn't know how long she sat there, lost in her own misery, before a voice broke through. "Agent Wilder, are you okay?" It was Stacy, Luke's second in command. Sophie straightened up, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. "Yes," she said, her voice hoarse. She cleared her throat and tried again. "Yes, I'm okay." Stacy looked at her, concern etched on her face. "Are you sure? Where's your partner?" Sophie looked out to where Ryan had walked away, disappearing into the night. She had no idea where she was now, lost somewhere in the city. She stood up, ignoring Stacy's question. "Is there something you or Luke needs before I go?" she asked, her voice flat and emotionless. Stacy studied her for a moment. "No," she said finally. "Enjoy your evening, Agent." Sophie nodded, turning away from Stacy and walking towards her car. She could feel Stacy's eyes on her back, watching her inquisitively as she unlocked the door, slid into the driver's seat, and sped off into the night, leaving Stacy and Black Bat headquarters behind.